Hi, everyone. It's really great to be here. We're just having a wonderful time here, and it really meant a lot to us to be invited to come and bring Bashar to everyone here. So, okay, I'm going to turn it over to Daryl and Bashar, and hope you all have a great time, and thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks, April. You're welcome. I'll second that. Thank you very much for having us here. We really appreciate it. It's a really lovely energy. Before we get going with the actual channeling, before Bashar comes through, I'm going to explain very briefly a little bit of the background of how this happened, just so everyone is sort of up to speed on how this came about and what this is, at least from our point of view. This whole experience began for me roughly 33 years ago when on two different occasions in the same week in Los Angeles, where I live, I had two very, very close broad daylight UFO sightings. First time about 150 feet away, the second time only about 70 feet away. Both times an equilateral black triangular ship for, maybe about 30 seconds to a minute each time, with witnesses with me both times. Since those sightings, it started me getting excited about trying to find out what that was all about. Now that I had seen something like that, I really wanted to know more about it, so I began doing a lot of research, a lot of reading. And eventually, reading about UFOs led to other metaphysical subjects. Back then, there weren't a lot of books on the subject, but whatever was there was sort of all stacked on the same bookshelf in the corner of the bookstore. So I kind of just went down the line, between UFOs and psychic stuff, ESP and channeling and all that, whatever was available. And 10 years after the sighting, I was actually then finally introduced to a channel who was practicing at the time. And after listening to the entity and the information coming through that channel and feeling that it resonated with me, the entity actually offered to teach a channeling class, and I didn't realize that something like that could be taught. So, not thinking I was going to become a channel, I went into the class because I just wanted to understand what that process was all about, and it was just part of my research. But it was about a 12-week course, and about halfway through the course, a series of different kinds of things started happening that were unusual, different kinds of symptoms, different kinds of occurrences. And I didn't really know exactly what that was all about, but I just figured, maybe there was just some sort of strange reactions to the different meditations or exercises we were being given in the class. But about halfway through, when I was in a meditative state in one class, in 1 second I received this instantaneous telepathic download, which completely opened up a memory of having actually made an agreement to do this before this life. I understood in that 1 second that I'd been shown the UFO to start moving in the direction I needed to go, to do all the research, to be ready when it came time to fulfill the agreement. And in that telepathic message, when I understood who Bashar was, who I was to him, also was the question, now that you understand and remember that this agreement has been made, is this still something you want to do? It was still offered as a choice. It wasn't anything that was forced on me. And I had to really think about it for a while because I didn't really know if what I was experiencing in my head was just some sort of hallucination from the meditation or what was going on. But eventually I received enough outside unsolicited corroboration that something was happening that I decided to go ahead and keep practicing and just sort of see where it would go. Because to me, the real bottom line of doing this was not so much to prove to anyone that Bashar is real or anything like that, because there's no way I can do that. What made me go ahead was realizing that in a lot of the channelings I had experienced myself, the information that comes through seems to have the ability to tap into higher levels of information and seems to have the ability to really help people make very strong changes, positive changes in their lives. And that was reason enough to keep going and see where it would go. And here I am 23 years later, still playing telephone for someone. So it's been very rewarding for me, and fortunately, seemingly very rewarding for a lot of people by the feedback that I get. That's the reason that we keep doing it. Now, when I go into the altered state, as April sort of mentioned, it's not technically a trance. I've actually one time had myself wired up to an EEG just to see what was going on in my brain when I was channeling. And the scientists doing the reading said, well, it's actually not really a trance. It's actually a state of heightened connection. They discovered to their surprise that my brain was firing many more times than normal, as if there was more than one thought process going on at the same time. And they said that all of the different brainwave rates, the beta, the theta, delta, all that, they were all there. But instead of being where they normally are, they all were like this. So they were kind of astonished to see that, but they said basically it's like it seems like your brain is operating like some sort of a massive switchboard. And it's making so many different connections that a lot of different kinds of information is coming through. So when I go into that altered state, for me it's like falling into a deep daydream. I know there's something going on. I know there's an interaction, and I can feel the energy, and sometimes I'll get abstract pictures that might be representative of a concept that he may be talking about with you. But I won't really hear the words. It's sort of like if you go into a very deep daydream and someone walks in the room and calls your name, and you're just tranced out. You just don't hear them at all. It's really like that. It's like, for me, the words are someone talking very softly outside this building. It's way far away. And I'm just having my own experience. And I sort of use an analogy that normally, of course, each of us are driving our own vehicle. But when I let Bashar come through, it's like I slide over to the passenger seat and he takes the wheel. And I can kind of look out the window and I can sort of know we're going somewhere, but I'm not the one that has to pay attention to the road, so I don't really pay attention. He's the one that's paying attention to what's happening. It's a very energetic experience for me. I know you'll see my body go through a few adjustments when the energy comes through. Nothing of what I'm experiencing is uncomfortable or painful. I say that because some people think it is, just because my body will jerk to the energy. It's just my body aligning itself to what's coming through. And you'll hear my breathing change and all sorts of things. These things are not anything I did to bring the channeling through. All of these effects are side effects of the energy coming through. And it's just what needs to happen to allow my body to be supported by them so that I can handle the flow of the energy, because it's many times greater than what I'm used to operating on a normal daily level. And even though I've gotten used to it over time and it leaves me energized afterwards, I often liken the energy coming through me as if I'm trying to get Hoover Dam to come through a garden hose. It's just this super high pressure that my body just has to release, and it comes through in a translation. He's not speaking English. He's not speaking anything. He's just sending thoughts. This is a telepathic contact. My brain waves resonate up to a certain level. His resonate down to a certain level. Somewhere in the middle, we lock. And when we harmonize, what you get is a model of his thoughts translated through my brain into the language I was raised to understand, which is English. So he's not really speaking at all. He's just pulsing those thoughts at me, and I'm the translation box. When he does come through, he may talk about something first that he thinks is appropriate for the group in terms of sensing the energy. But this is mostly a large private group. So it's really for you. It's your time. He wants to know what's important to you to talk about, what subjects you want to question or talk about or discuss. So when he is done with whatever short monologue he may deliver, he's really just going to turn it over to you and ask you what you want to talk about. And that's just discussions, questions. It can be anything. It doesn't matter. In 23 years, he's talked to everyone in all walks of life about every subject I can think of. He's always had something to say about it. He's very chatty. And he always manages to turn even a private question into something that generally the group will get some value out of. So he's very cognizant of the fact that he's not just talking to one person, that there are a number of people here that need to get something out of what's going on. But he does have a very different perspective on things, and their society, you can ask him even anything about his society if you want. They do present themselves as an extraterrestrial race. They do have a kind of physicality, although they're sort of evolving beyond that. But he knows, sort of how this functions here. And he'll engage you in a regular conversation. Now, a final thing I want to mention is the word itself, Bashar, It's not actually his name. He doesn't have a name. In their society, they're telepathic. They don't need names. But they understood we needed something to call him other than hey you. And so when the initial telepathic contact happened, that word was there. And I just assumed it was his name. We do use it as his name. He responds to it as if it is. But I had no idea what the word was. I am half Middle Eastern, and because of that, the word was probably chosen by him for that reason, and for things that have to do with my connections and things that I need to understand in my life. But it is actually an Arabic word, although I don't speak Arabic, not really a word of it. And I had no idea. It wasn't until many years after I was channeling that a person came up to me who did speak Arabic and asked me, he said, do you know what the word Bashar means? I said, no, I have no idea. And he said, well, it means messenger or bringer of good news. And I said, okay, it's appropriate. It's exactly what he's doing, so he knows what he's doing. I had no clue. Anyway, use it as his name. He'll respond to it. And when you ask your questions, speak up, be bold so that everyone can hear what's going on. Just interact with him like you would interact with anyone. And the bottom line is really the more fun you have with him, the more fun he'll have with you. So once again, I really, really appreciate you having us here. It's a very special kind of place. And thank you. Have a good time. I'm going to go sleep now. So I'll see you all later. I'll say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? How are you all? Thank you. Want to make sure there is someone on the other end of this transmission, that we are not just speaking to an empty room. Thank you, each and every one of you. First of all, for the co-creation of this interaction. Each and every time you allow us and our world to interact with you in this way, it forms a new link, a new bridge between our respective realities. And that forms a new third reality in which we can one day interact more and more and more, thus creating a whole new experience. And in creating this link, this communication with us, this day of your time, it is also a great gift from our perspective because it allows us to experience through each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively more facets of the multidimensional crystal of all that is. And so we thank you for allowing us to experience those facets that each and every one of you is. We would like to begin this transmission, this day of your time, with the following notion of why the idea is that we are communicating with your world in this way at this time. Please understand that our communication to you is by virtue of an invitation that we have received from the collective consciousness of your planet. That this is one of the primary ways of initiating contact with a new world. Someday, in what you call your near future, there will be the possibility and the availability of physiological contact between your species, our species, many other species, and some of that has already begun in a slow and cautious way. But one of the methodologies we often use when making contact with a new world is this methodology of speaking through a member of that society. Thus, then, we are capable of presenting to you ideas, points of view, concepts, without you in any way, shape, or form having to believe We are who we say we are, thus not in any way, shape, or form forcing you to think that you have to listen to us, that you have to believe what we say is true. Each and every one of you is your own aspect of all that is, your own aspect of creation, and we would never want this information to in any way, shape, or form intervene or interfere with what you decide is best for you. But we are very open to sharing our point of view of what works for us, and in the off chance, as you say, that it may also work for you and allow your lives to become more loving, more creative, more joyful, then we are happy to offer these ideas for your own use. But the idea is for you to simply take what works for you and leave what does not. This is simply a gift, a giving, a sharing with no agenda. It is simply that we are doing what excites us. We are simply following our passion. And it is always our passion to form new connections with new beings on new worlds, because then together we are more than the sum of our parts, and we become a greater reality and experience together more and more and more of all that is. We thank you thus then for this gift. And we open to you the possibility that all the things we will share with you today will be of a certain nature. As we have had these discussions with many of the humans on your planet for 23 of your orbits, we have thus recognized that one of the things that seems most advantageous to you is to be given a perspective of certain metaphysical and spiritual concepts in such a manner as to ground those concepts for you in what you may call pragmatic and practical methodologies that will give you an actual kit of tools to apply in your life in any given situation, to let you know always, first and foremost, that the power is always within you to make the changes that you wish to make in your life, that you do not necessarily need us or anyone else to do that, but that we understand that sometimes a different perspective can jog you loose from an old way of thinking, give you a new insight, a new road to walk down, a new thing to try. And thus, again, we are happy to do that. But all of what we will do will lay the foundations for the tools that will then allow you to do what you need to do for yourselves, to allow you to know that those powers, those tools exist within you, and that we are only reflecting that to you. We are only being allowed to illuminate that for you. We are not doing anything for you. We're not really telling you anything you don't know. At least not anything your higher consciousness doesn't know. Even though we recognize that on your planet you have for thousands of years played the game of forgetting, and now it is time to remember who and what you are, more of who and what you are, as a soul, as a spirit, as a being, as a consciousness. And so that is why, by giving off that frequency of exploring more of yourself, by being willing to open up your awareness and grow spiritually, that is the invitation we spoke of at the beginning of this dialogue. That we respond to, knowing that your world is ready to communicate and to talk about new ideas, new perspectives, and that will aid and assist your world in choosing the kind of reality that you prefer from this point forward. But of course, it's each and every one of you, your choice, that makes the difference in terms of how you will experience your life, the richness of it, the fullness of it, the beauty of it, by allowing yourself to understand how important it is, if you do not do so already, to follow your dreams, to follow your passion, to act on your joy. We know many humans now in what you call your metaphysical, spiritual, and or New Age movement have made these kinds of statements over and over again. Follow your bliss, follow your passion, follow your joy. But it is not always clear to many humans as to exactly why that's so important. The idea is as follows from our perspective. You are a consciousness. The natural you, the core you, the true you, operates at a certain signature frequency, a signature vibration. That which is most representative of your natural, true, originally created self has a certain pitch, a certain frequency, a certain tone. The physical body translates this tone as the feeling, the sensation you call passion, excitement, joy, love. So anytime you are willing to act, to physically act on something that comes into your life that contains the highest amount of joy, the highest amount of excitement, the highest amount of passion, what you are doing is squarely aligning yourself and harmonizing yourself with your true inner core being. That's why it's so important. It's like passion, that sensation, is your body's translation of that frequency, and passion thus acts as the unerring compass needle pointing directly in the direction that is most true for you. So the things that come to you in your life that contain the highest amount of joy, the highest amount of passion, the reason to act on them is because by doing so, you will be squarely on the path of following that compass in the direction of your truest self all the time. Excitement, not the form it comes in. Excitement is the thread to follow that leads to all other reflections and representations of your excitement. And thus, by following that thread, no matter how it weaves, no matter through what it moves, no matter in what form it comes, by following it and trusting that, you will always, unerringly, be going in the straightest possible line toward your most highest self. Does this make sense to you as a concept?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Thank you. Everything we discuss, no matter what subject, essentially comes down to this principle. The idea of truly being yourself, of truly knowing yourself, of truly acting as yourself. For in concert, thought, word, and deed, do you thus then harmonize the total being of yourself? Physical mind, higher mind, comes into orchestrated concert, learning to work together. And this also has the added benefit of allowing your physical mind to not be burdened with doing something that is more than it was designed to do. Physical mind has a certain job description, a certain job definition. But because of the way your society has operated for thousands of years, and because you have forgotten, many of you, who you were, the idea is that very often your society has thought that physical mind is all you are, that there is no real higher mind. And thus it has given the physical mind the complete task of running your life. That's very tiring. When you do not allow yourself to rely on a communication and a balance between physical mind and higher mind, the physical mind gets burned out very quickly because it's not designed to do the job of actually knowing how things will come to you. This is a very key element that we wish to make very clear because we understand, again, there is a lot of confusion on your planet about this concept. Here is how we will give it. Higher mind, brain, physical mind. Higher mind is the conceiver. The brain is the receiver. Physical mind is the perceiver of the experience. More succinctly, higher mind is designed to know how your life will happen. Physical mind is not designed to know how things are going to happen in your life. Physical mind is designed to know how things did happen in your life. It's the perceiver of the experience, not the creator of it, the higher mind. Your higher mind is the conceiver and the creator. Then the brain receives that frequency, and through inspiration and imagination, the physical mind has thoughts, dreams, ideas, acts on them, and thus then, by allowing the synchronicity in life to unfold automatically from the higher mind, thus then gets to experience how things did happen. The difficulty that occurs on your planet is when physical mind thinks that it should take how things did happen and try to make that the rote methodology for how things are then going to happen from that point forward. But physical mind does not have the ability to understand how things are going to happen, so it cannot use the same methodology of how things did happen to understand how things are going to happen. And that's when the physical mind gets caught up in this cycle, this vicious cycle of wondering why it just can't seem to make things work. This happened this way, why can't it happen that way again? Because higher mind may say, but that's not the path of least resistance. Trust me, let it go. I am bringing it to you. I am watching out for you. Don't struggle, don't strain. That's not your job. It's my job. Please let me do my job. And you do yours, which is just to enjoy the experience of how something happened. It's really that simple. We say that because we know how physical mind loves to complicate issues. Because physical mind has taught itself for thousands of years, if it's not complicated, it has no value. It can't be that simple. That's too easy. I don't deserve that. It can't be that simple. As we have said many times, one of the greatest shocks that is going to occur in the psychology of the human mind is to finally discover that what you have for a long time been taught was only a fairy tale is actually how life works. Happily ever after. It's easy. It really is. However, we will not in any way, shape, or form insist that it must be so. Because if you really insist that something must be difficult, that's your choice. And that's your process. And that's your sacred right to go through that process to get to the point where you discover you didn't have to go through that process. But if you did, it has value. It has validity. It is precious. Don't judge it. Honor it. The only way you can change something is to own it. You cannot change what you do not own. So if you push away anything that has happened in your life and devalue and judge it as not having value in being there, you are actually erasing the stepping stone you need to get to the next step. Honor your lives as they are, and that is what will propel you to the next step. So if you find that you have created, that you have chosen, consciously or unconsciously, for whatever reason, something to be experienced in a difficult or negative way, so be it. I am not saying you have to let it stay that way, but do not discount it. It is a valid choice. You made that choice for whatever reason, and now, if nothing else, having made that choice has brought something to your attention that you don't prefer that idea. And many times we understand, because of the nature of the way you have structured your society, we understand that it's equally a valid methodology to discover what you do want by spending a lot of time finding out what you don't want. And if that works for you, that's fine. So do not berate yourself for wasting time, for not being spiritual fast enough. We do not understand these concepts when they come out of your mouths sometimes. Many of us laugh loud and long at some of these ideas. Not because we are judging you as less, just because it makes no sense to us. Now, but we understand the nature of Earth, and we understand the nature of the incarnations that you have chosen to have on Earth. And it is very, very valid. Very valid. In fact, it is a gift, not only to you, but to us and all beings in creation. Because you could, let's say, by analogy, euphemistically, colloquially, call Earth a difficult school. The idea, however, is that if you chose to go to that school, it means you're very brave, you're very strong. You know you can get through it, and you know that what you take out at the other end will make you a more powerful, more richer soul. We thank you for choosing to go through that experience, because the rest of the universe, many other levels of dimensionality and consciousness, learn from you. The great amount of darkness and negativity that you have generated on the planet is profound. I know you know that. But if you can still, in all that darkness, find the light, how powerful does that make you? And what a lesson for other beings on other worlds who don't have it that difficult. Because then whatever issues, whatever challenges, whatever problems they have, they can look at Earth and go, well, they can do it. We can do it. Because look at them. We call this, again, using one of your human analogies, the rubber band analogy. If you have one of your little rubber bands and you pull it back and let it go, it will fly. The farther you pull it back, the farther it will fly in the other direction, yes? Yes. The farther back into darkness you have created your experience, when you finally decide to let go of the fear and the darkness, look how fast and how far you will fly into the light. That's what you're doing. It's a highly accelerated school of experience. And the depth of the darkness is so you can accelerate the experience of the soul's growth. And when you finally drop the baggage that has nothing to do with you and release the fears and let go, you will fly that much farther and that much faster into the light in a very powerful way. And your lives will become even more than they are now, ecstatic explosions of synchronicity, effortless, joyful, creative, and should, at any given moment, with that mindset, from that perspective, in that energy, anything come up that seems to be representative of a vibration you don't prefer, it will not be seen as an obstacle. It will not be labeled as an impediment. No, it will be welcomed as a gift of revelation, revealing and reflecting another portion of yourself, of your consciousness you were unaware of, so that joy of joys and hallelujah, you can now integrate it into yourself and fly even farther. So you welcome that information about yourself. Fear is a friend knocking on your door saying, hey, there is something here you missed about yourself that you need to know so you can integrate it into your consciousness and be more of who you really are. So, hey, I'm bringing your attention to something. Fear is just an energy. You are a 100% energy, each and every one of you. When you run your energy, you flow your energy through belief systems and definitions in your personality that are in harmonious alignment with your true self. You experience your energy as joy, love, passion. When you flow the same energy through belief systems and definitions that are out of alignment with your true self, you feel the energy as fear. That's what it is physically. It's telling you, hey, you have a belief system that's out of harmony with your true self. Find out what it is. Change it. And then you will allow your energy to filter through the new belief, come back into alignment, and the very same energy that allowed you to experience fear will allow you to experience joy on the very same issue. This is just physics. That's all this is. You are energy. You are light. This is just the physics of energy, just the physics of light. That's what love is. Unconditional love is the foundational frequency of energy of creation. That's all it is. Align with it. Harmonize with it. Or not. It's up to you. But remember, please remember, you are always supported by all that is unconditionally. Look that word up in your dictionaries. Unconditionally. Not unconditionally, except for this one condition over here. All that is loves you, but only if you do this. All that is will support you, but only if you do that. All that is loves you unconditionally, but not if you don't believe as I do. Unconditionally. So anything you do is supported 100%. You are never, not for a second, without support. If it were true that you were without support, you wouldn't exist. You are supported by all that is. All that is does not make unnecessary creations. So if you exist, you belong. In order for all that is to feel, it is truly all that is. That means if you exist, then without you, all that is would not be all that is. So you are important. You are supported. Constantly. Constantly. Now, if an individual decides that they will believe only in lack, the universe says, all right, I will support you in your belief in lack. And thus then, as you go back and forth in the conundrum of abundance and lack, if you believe in lack, the universe, all that is creation, has no choice but to say, all right, you are always abundant. Always. You are never not abundant. But because of what you say you believe in most strongly, what I will give you is an abundance of lack. You see? You are supported. The idea is to understand that you are always supported, and it's really the strongest thing you believe is true that you are supported in. You don't have to learn how to be supported. You don't have to learn how to trust. You already trust 100% of the time. Again? If you didn't, yes. If you didn't trust in something to be true 100% of the time, you would not be having an experiential reality. So it's not an issue of learning to trust. It's an issue of learning what you're placing your trust in. Because the universe will always reinforce and amplify whatever you place your trust in. And if you place your trust in the idea that you are not supported by the universe will support you by continuing to make it seem as if you are not supported. You see, you are so unconditionally loved. You are even allowed to believe you are not unconditionally loved. That's how unconditionally loved you are. What you say goes. That's what free will is all about. What you say is true is true. That's it. As far as the Creator is concerned, you call the shots. So, decide what you prefer. Move in that direction. That is what you will have. It's as simple as that. Guaranteed. The guarantee is not coming from us. It's coming from all that is. And the proof is your existence itself. Again, if you didn't deserve to exist, believe me, you wouldn't. And you will never become non-existent. Non-existence is already full of all the things that will never exist. There is no room in non-existence for that which exists. You will change form, but you will always exist. That's the only quality existence has. To be. It cannot be not being. That's another quality. It's just existence. So if you exist, you always will. This is what we call the first law of creation. When we say law, we mean law with a capital L. It cannot be changed. We don't mean laws of physics, like the speed of light and things like that, because that changes from reality to reality, from dimension to dimension. It may be seemingly a rule or a condition in one dimension, but it will be different in another. However, what we call the four laws of creation are the same for everything, everywhere, everyone, no matter what reality, no matter what dimension. We have never discovered it to be elsewise in any other reality or any other dimension so far. We're always open to the fact that it might not be. But so far, we have only found the four laws. Number one, you exist. Can't do anything about it. Never have, never will. You exist. Number two, the one is the all. Together, the all are the one. It's the same thing. You are all aspects of creation. Together, you are creation. You are made out of God. There's no outside, nothing extra. God is not separate from you. You are actually expressions of the one. Because there is nothing else from which to create. Because the one is the one. That's all there is. No outside to it. So anything it creates, it has to create from itself. You are that. We are that. All that is that. Law number 3. What we have been just talking about. What you put out is what you get back. Plain and simple. Reality experience is a mirror. It's a reflection. If you are looking at a glass mirror and you see that the expression on your face in the mirror is frowning, you do not go up to the mirror and try to make the reflection smile. That will never work. The only way to change the reflection is to smile yourself first. But when you do, the reflection has no choice but to reflect the smile back. What you put out is what you get back. Law number 4. Everything changes. Change is the only constant except for the first 3 laws, which never change. So it's a cycle. It's a circle. The 3 unchanging laws going into the law that says everything changes, including change, which means that change becomes the unchanging. The first 3 laws, which become the changing, which changes to become the unchanging. And it supports itself forever and ever and ever and ever. So far. These are the kinds of things we would share with your world and with you, individually and collectively. Now, if you wish, if there is particular subject, particular discussion, particular question, by all means, please do share. Oh, please, not all at once. And speak up and be bold, so that all may hear what you have to share.
Hi.
Andrew, you good day.
I wanted to first thank you for coming. You're so friendly, and it's really beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you also for the co-creation of this interaction. Could not do it without you.
That's really, I wonder, do you have the same kind of, you're in touch with us now.
Yes.
Are we always in touch in some form?
Yes.
You're so friendly, and it's nice to have, it's nice to be in touch with friendly neighbors.
Yes.
So
We are always friendly. We simply prefer to be.
wonderful. Well, great. Welcome to our planet. Thanks for coming.
Well, thank you.
Bye.
Oh, by the way, sometimes in dream time, welcome to ours.
Thank you.
Bashar.
Anyone else? Yes.
Yes, I have a question.
Well, good day, good day.
Thank you. About excitement
Yes.
and addiction.
Yes.
I wonder sometimes if my excitement, what I'm excited about, is really an addiction.
Very good question. It shows that you are willing to be honest and have a self-investigation. It is an issue of discernment. The idea is that when you really stop to think about it, you can usually tell the difference between something that is truly reflective of your passion and something that you are simply repeating because you are afraid to look at something else. Addiction will always be based on the idea that there is a fear that you are not willing to look at. If you are willing to recognize that the possibility may exist, that what you are labeling as excitement may be an addiction, then that is the beginning of an investigation that will allow you to find out which it is. All you really have to ask yourself is, what do I have to believe is true in order for me to behave in the way I am behaving or feel the way I am feeling toward this thing? Examine why you are feeling that you might be excited about it, or why you might be questioning why it might not really be your excitement. It's all about having a conference with your higher self about what's really going on and being willing to find out what belief systems you're really holding on to that are true. You follow me so far?
Yes.
Is this helping at all so far?
Yeah, it's asking the question. I get the connection, yes.
All right. Again, any addiction is really based on the idea of fear. And we understand that sometimes you can actually label something that is an addiction exciting to cover up the ability that you don't have to look at it. And we can also understand the opposite, that sometimes some things that are actually truly exciting, you actually call them by negative names. So again, you won't have to go there. Because sometimes individuals actually fear to follow their excitement. Because they have a belief about what will happen if they do. And thus, then from that mechanism, they can also fall into an addictive behavior pattern that allows them to simply keep repeating whatever it is they're already doing, as unpleasant as some of it may be, because it's more comfortable than going into the unknown, which they have labeled as a worse pain than simply staying with something that is a pain, but a familiar one. You see, this is all really about motivation. All of you are only motivated by one thing. Any decision you make in life, any label that you give or definition that you give to something is all based on the simple motivation that you will always move toward what you have defined to be more pleasurable, and you will always move away from what you have defined to be more painful. Always. Instantly. Immediately. And automatically. But the key is what you have defined as more pleasurable, what you have defined as more painful. So if you get to the point in life where you're looking at a situation and you think you are excited about it, but you wonder if it's just an addiction, there may be a clue right there that perhaps it is time to examine this thing and really decide for yourself if this thing is representative of your highest joy, or if there's something else or some other way you could actually be behaving or doing that would actually be more representative. And when you go beyond that, if suddenly you find yourself being afraid, then you have discovered that there is an issue and that there is a definitional attachment to that action that says that becoming more of yourself has been labeled somehow by you as a more painful direction to go in than just staying comfortably where you are, no matter how uncertain or painful that may be. Is this making some sense?
Yes.
Is this helping?
Yes.
Does that answer your question sufficiently, or is there something else you wish to explore more specifically about this issue?
No, I'm complete with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi there.
And you good day.
So I wasn't tired at all, and I'm not tired at all, and I all of a sudden just started speaking, and I felt like I was falling asleep.
Yes, this is not uncommon.
And then I woke up because I felt a kiss on my forehead on top of my eyebrows, and I was wondering what's going on.
Again, this is not uncommon. We give off a different kind of frequency when we come through the channel. To whatever degree each of you wishes to harmonize with that, you will. But the idea is that as humans, you have multiple levels to your consciousness, whereas we do not. And being exposed to our energy begins to push those levels together, begins to decompartmentalize your consciousness and start to integrate you. Sometimes humans find it easier for that integration to occur if they are not fully conscious when it does. It's acting like a cushion for you. And the kiss, in that sense, is your higher self saying, thank goodness you're letting go. You follow me?
Perfect.
Does that help you?
Exactly.
Pleasant dream.
Thank you so much.
I have a question here. Are you ready?
Huh?
Yes.
We have the higher self, which I've been in touch with kind of almost in my imagination. Why did we...
Almost in your imagination. That's an interesting state of being.
Well, I definitely am aware of my mind.
Yes.
And that level.
Yes.
Why did we choose to come and be so identified with the mind and make it so much more difficult just because we like a hard time? Or
it's not that so much as what we were explaining before is that will actually create a very different effect in your soul to not remember who you are and then discover who you are. You see, on higher levels where there is no space-time frame reference, no time lag at all, there is absolutely no time lag between the thought and the manifestation of the experience. But in physical reality, where you create the effect of space and time, where things take time, where you can actually forget that you're creating your reality and then discover something, you are actually able to then experience the process of creation itself, and that adds value and knowledge to you as a soul to actually experience the process instead of just the instantaneous manifestation. Does this make sense?
Yes.
So, the idea is that the idea of certain realities, Earth, other levels of some realities, other planets that are of a similar vibration, are places to go, in a sense, where you can experience something new that cannot be experienced on the spirit level. To actually experience the process and the unseen. Because we don't believe there's such a thing as an accident. If we are talking, there's a reason for it, and you're getting what you need no matter what that is. Make sense?
Yes.
Thank you. Does that help?
It helps, yeah.
All right. Anything else?
What is the most, would you feel in the group is most important to us?
What is most important to you as a group?
Yes.
Is that what you are asking?
Yes, as the group.
To be whoever you are as individuals harmoniously within the group. Remember that unification is not the product of homogenization. Unification is the product of absolute allowance of the perfect individuals within the group. Because when you are truly the individuals you are, that automatically allows you to work together as a harmonious group, because every single individual already by definition fits with everyone else being their true self. So harmony is the product on a collective level of individuality being perfectly honored. Make sense?
It makes sense. It's like I'm doubting creation, and so, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for understanding it that way.
Hi, it's really...
Oh, all right, if you insist.
Oh.
Good day.
Hello. I'm enjoying this so much, and...
So are we.
Yes, thank you for coming. You mentioned to the first person about that we can visit you in our dreams.
Often many of you do. In fact, many of you actually have incarnations on our planet.
A couple of days ago when Paul was doing his toning, I had an incredible vision of flying over a planet.
Yes.
With the buildings looked very geometric.
Yes.
And like...
Were there a lot of buildings?
Yes.
Not our planet.
Okay. That's what... That's
but it
all I
might
wanted
have been
to know.
some other planet.
Okay. Thank you.
We hardly have any structures on our planet at all. Our cities are our spaceships. Our planet is mostly park-like. There are a few structures, but they're very simple. However, could be another planet, one that you have a resonance connection with. Could be symbolic, could be literal. Depends.
Do you have any suggestions on...
Well, how did it make you feel?
When I flew over it?
Yes.
Well, the buildings were moving.
Yes. Yes.
I had the feeling that there was something like more than 3 dimensions.
Oh, yes, of course. Kind of goes without saying, since you were flying.
Yeah. And it was really beautiful.
Yay! And what did it open up within you? Did it open up any new possibilities, any new insights, any new ideas, any new inspirations? How did it allow you to feel you might have changed? What did it reflect to you about how you might have already changed?
When the vision and the toning finished,
yes.
For the first time in my life, I didn't hear the chatter in my mind.
Well, congratulations. Now you have felt that vibrational level. Now you can recreate that anytime you wish. Once you know a frequency, you can always recreate it just by remembering the experience. That's what it's for. That's what your imagination is for. Creating a vibrational reality that is representative of the state of being you prefer, then doing everything you can to closely approximate the behavior you see yourself doing in that reality. You follow me?
Yes.
So by doing that, by using your imagination as a mirror, by mirroring it as close as you can in physical reality on earth, you will be bringing that vibration into your reality and allowing your reality to transform as closely as it possibly can to that experience. Make sense?
Yes.
That's what imagination is for. And as we said, imagination is actually the conduit of communication between physical mind and higher mind. You see? That's where you talk. That's how the higher mind talks. In imagination, in feeling, in picture, in passion. Higher mind always is communicating with physical mind using passion poems. Physical mind just has to be quiet and listen. And feel it in the heart. Because remember, the heart thinks too, not just the brain. But it thinks in a different way. Heart and mind blended together will always hear higher mind's passion poems. Make sense? Yes. Does that help? Yes. Anything else you wish to say about that?
I'm just really want to thank you. That was really, really beautiful.
Thank you. Please remember, all of you, please remember, circumstances do not determine your state of being. Your state of being determines your circumstances. Circumstances, therefore, do not matter. Only your state of being matters. Circumstances do not matter. Do not materialize things. Only your state of being matters. Brings energy into matter. Materializes things. So it's not the circumstances in your life, it's how you respond to them that makes the difference in your life. It's not whether the outside world has changed in response to your spiritual growth that matters. It's whether your spiritual growth allows you to respond differently to the circumstances, even if they stay the same. That means you have actually grown. Do not rely on the outer world as your measuring stick for your own spiritual growth. Rely on your response to the outer world to determine how much you have grown. If you still react the same way to an old circumstance, you haven't grown. It has nothing to do with whether or not that circumstance should be in your life anymore. We hear many people on your planet say, "But I'm too spiritual to have attracted that in my life." What? It is there. Therefore, it's there for a reason. The reason may be to test yourself and see that if you still react the same way you used to, that you actually haven't grown spiritually. Whereas if the same situation can cause a completely different response in you in a more positive way, then you have grown. You have changed. Remember, nothing in life has built-in meaning. One of the greatest gifts, I know this is going to sound funny in your language, I will explain. One of the greatest gifts creation has given to everyone in creation is that life is meaningless. What? Meaningless? Yes, meaningless. In the strictest sense of the word. There is no built-in meaning. You have been given the power to give things meaning. The meaning you give them determines the effect you get from them. Remember, third law, what you put out is what you get back. Life and the events and circumstances in it are nothing but a neutral set of illusionary props. Your response to them, your experience of your relationship to them, that's reality. There is no physical reality. It's only your experience of it that's real, not physical reality itself. So when you have a circumstance or a situation show up in your life, how you respond to it, what meaning you put into it, is what determines where you are in your spiritual growth. Because if you think you're spiritual but still react in the same old way to something that looks the same as it did before, it's simply telling you haven't changed much. But if you now understand and see that it can serve double duty, that it doesn't have built-in meaning, if you pause and say, wait a minute, that doesn't automatically have to mean something negative. I decide what it means. I determine and decide. So I decide that even though I may not understand specifically how it can serve me in a positive way, it does. Why? Because I said so. That's why. Because the universe will back me up on that. That's why. And when I give it a positive meaning, I will ultimately be allowed to see how it will unfold into my life with a positive effect. All I need to know is the only thing that matters is not the circumstance. State of being is the only thing that matters. Make sense? Yes. Oh, I thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Good day. I have an awareness that there are various levels of sort of chord connections with different humans or different people.
Yes.
Is it possible to stay connected with oneself and one deep sourced at the same time as being connected with others?
May I ask you a question?
Please.
Right now, you, in asking the question, were capable of imagining that it was possible to do so, or you probably wouldn't have been able to actually come up with the question, right?
Okay.
You see where I'm going with this?
Yes.
To ask a question is to have an answer. The fact that you were capable of even conceiving of the concept of maintaining a connection to many different things at the same time means it's possible. Because you cannot imagine non-existence. So anything that you can conceive of is somewhere, somehow, possible.
Wonderful.
So all you need to do when you ask a question is take that little bent question mark at the end of the sentence and straighten it into an exclamation point. And you will have your answer. All things are possible. Now, the question really is, to what degree of probability will your definitions and belief systems allow you to experience what it is you say you prefer to experience? That's the process you're going through.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Oh, totally.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Hey, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Thank you so much for the love that you've brought here today.
It is always our pleasure to reflect your own love back to you all.
I would like to know whether it is, if there's a possibility of myself channeling.
Well, is that something that excites you?
I've done it already. I see myself as a channel.
Then why are you asking if it's possible?
I know it's possible. I was wondering if there was a more effective way that I could communicate to raise consciousness in others.
You mean besides channeling? Or as a channel?
As myself.
Of course. By following your highest passion. At every given moment, in whatever form that comes. You see, this is a complete kit. Remember that all tools, all methodologies, all rituals are nothing more than permission slips that you give yourself to allow yourself to let it be all right to be more of who you are. The channeling isn't doing anything. The ritual isn't doing anything. The technique isn't doing anything except being reflective of the belief system you have that will then allow you to relax and allow yourself to be more of who you are. So all tools are nothing but permission slips. Does that make sense?
Yes. Wow.
And remember that channeling can happen in many different ways. It's just an issue of being in a state of being that allows more of you to come through in whatever way you wish to express it. An artist who paints the painting and becomes the painting is channeling. A singer who is lost in the song is channeling. An actor who becomes the character is channeling. It's the same thing. It's just presenting more of yourself or a different aspect of yourself in a different way. So if that is what gives you joy to do it in that way, by all means do it. If it gives you joy to do it in some other way, it's still a channeling, and if it is reflective of your passion, that's how you can be of greatest service and assistance to everyone else, by being most you. Because when you are most yourself, you are then acting as a living example to others that they can also do that too. They get inspired by people who are being themselves. Are you not inspired in that sense? Inspired by people who you see creating things on a grand scale? Does that not inspire you? When you see them being themselves and creating with passion and joy, does that not inspire you? Yes. Then be an inspiration too. And things will explode. Is this answering your question?
You're amazing. Yes, it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I have a question.
Yes.
I heard you created the crystal balls, or channeled the way to create them. And I'm going to play tonight, and I would like to invite you for your creation. And
all right, thank you. We are always involved in any endeavor, since we are always beaming our energy to all of you. We are always involved in any endeavor wherein there are areas in which it is all right for us to be involved, where it is appropriate for us to be involved. We appreciate always the invitation and the permission that you give us. But on many different levels, do you already also give us permission to walk through a door that you have already opened? So anytime you open a door, we will always be there. You don't always have to specifically ask us. We are already everywhere we are allowed to be in your society energetically. So we will always be happy to share our energy and participate in any endeavor that represents your passion that you are willing to allow us to do so on, and we will always do so on whatever level we believe is most appropriate. So thank you.
And I have another question.
Yes.
It's so much fun to listen to you, and at the same time, on this planet is so much pain.
Yes.
Is there anything you can say to that?
Have I not already talked about the pain to some degree?
Yeah, you have.
Yes.
But
the idea is simply that you don't have to experience pain to experience joy. This is one of the things you are learning now on your planet. And pain, really, if you want our definition, if this helps clarify the issue, pain, really, all forms of pain, physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain, all pain is, definition, resistance to the natural self. Pain is resistance. When there is no longer resistance, there is no pain. Make sense?
Yeah.
Does that help?
Thank you.
Resistance only comes from definitions that you may be holding on to that are out of alignment with your true self. So if there is pain, pain is there to serve you to get in touch with what definition would you have to believe is true in order to be experiencing your energy in a painful way. Once you get in touch with that and identify what that definition is, the pain dissolves. Does that help?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I hope our explanation wasn't too painful.
Hello, Bashar.
You, then you. Good day.
Bashar,
yes.
It's a joy to meet you.
And you as well.
I have a question again about our planet.
Yes.
I'm wondering, you talk about following our bliss and our joy.
I do.
And our passion.
I do.
And is that going to be enough to...
Action.
Yes, action, I understand.
All right. Then that will be enough.
To help all the suffering on the planet.
That will be enough as long as you act on your passion. If you just sit around wishing, no. It will help to give off prayer energy and supportive energy. By all means, that helps. But it is the actions that you do in alignment with that energy that grounds the energy and actually makes the connection to others and actually can help. But I will also tell you this. As we have already pointed out, There are an infinite number of parallel realities, which means that there is an infinite number of parallel Earths. You follow me?
Yes.
On each of those Earths, they're experiencing something just a little bit different than on yours. Some Earths experience absolute joy. Some Earths experience absolute devastation. They are all already existing. The idea of making changes on your planet is not actually making changes on your planet. It's that as you change yourself, as you change your frequency, you shift your consciousness to a parallel reality Earth already reflective of the change you have made in you.
Thank you.
So the people that wish to experience devastation still will, but they'll do so on another Earth. Make sense?
Yes.
That's how it changes. You change and take yourself to a reality reflective of that change. So, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, and then you.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Thank you. I find myself drawn into this meditative, spiritual place that's introspective and so on, and I find that I need that to take care of myself.
All right.
But it feels a little bit selfish because I feel also that there's more for me to give to the planet.
Well, may I ask you a question?
Yes.
When and if you get to a point where you feel you are ready to give more, will anything stop you from doing so?
Just me.
All right. Well, will you stop yourself? If you feel you are ready, will you stop yourself?
No.
Of course not, by definition. So, if you want to spend time getting to the place where you feel you are ready, spend time. When you get to a place where you feel you are ready, act.
Thank you.
Now, are you willing to allow it to be that simple, or did you want me to make it more complicated?
Yeah, a recipe would be helpful, but I think that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bashar.
Yes.
Could you speak to us of 2012?
I can. Now, we understand how many people on your planet have looked at that time frame, and from our point of view, what it basically represents is the idea that your collective consciousness has been building up and building up and building up to an idea of self-expression, awakening, awareness, and enlightenment. The idea that you call your year of 2012 represents the leading edge of that wave, where waveforms build up on each other and create a wave front moving along. 2012 represents the timing in your collective consciousness when the wave front will cross the threshold of critical mass, so that from that point forward, you will have begun to create more positive energy on Earth than negative. Now, it doesn't mean that the very next day everything will be flowers and light. But what it does mean is that the very next day it could be, because there will be more positive energy than negative. Remember, it does not take as many people positively oriented to overbalance and outweigh thousands and millions of negatively oriented people, because positive energy is collective and integrative, and negative energy is segregative. So it only takes several 100,000 humans to completely outbalance several billion negative ones. And by 2012, you will have enough positively oriented humans on your planet so that you will have tipped the scales and begun to allow more positive energy on Earth than negative, and that will begin to accelerate from that point forward. Now, 2012 also represents several other things. Among them, well, let me back up a minute and explain something to you. We understand there are many different forms of media on your planet, such as film and television, and we understand that you create many different kinds of stories to project the idea of future realities in those media. We believe you call it science fiction. And many of you are familiar with a science fiction program that has become synonymous with your culture that you call Star Trek. And in that Star Trek program, there is a particular principle that has been called and invented by the writers the Prime Directive. Hands off the society, no intervention until they're ready. 2012 is the end of the quarantine of Earth. Woo-hoo! Now, again, doesn't mean that there will be ships landing everywhere the next day. So please do not go home and say, Bashar said there's going to be mass UFO landings the day after. You understand? But the quarantine, the hands-off policy will be ended. Which means from that point forward, our ability to accelerate the process of contact with you will be determined solely by you and how fast you are ready. It is no longer going to be determined by our agenda about when we think you're ready. It will totally be in the hands of your people to determine when you are ready for contact. And by the way, of course, the writers that, quote-unquote, invented the Prime Directive, of course, received that as a download. Does this answer that question of 2012?
Yes, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
During the tonings with Paul, I get these vibrations in my body,
yes.
And it feels like light moving in my head. I
yes.
feel every cell of my brain just
yes.
tinkling.
Yes.
And,
sounds exciting.
And my body just jerks in reactions. My arms flying in the air and my legs.
Yes. This will often happen. As you may have seen, when we first made our telepathic connection with the channel, his body jerked around a little bit too. This is simply the nature of sometimes the fact that in your neurological, physiological system, there may be certain blocks, or it simply may not be used to handling certain levels of energy. And when that energy flows through, the body may react in trying to get those channels open to allow the energy through. And this can produce sometimes a few physiological motions as you're describing. You follow me?
Yes.
Is that an answer to your question, or were you taking this somewhere further?
I was.
All right.
I also feel this, like my hands.
Yes.
That's where it's strongest. And then what comes through is heal.
Yes.
And I wonder if you know...
So are you a healer?
Not what I'm, into...
We will take that as a no.
Well...
Because if you were, it would instantly have been yes. Any hesitation usually means no. Now, it simply may mean you're not quite sure yet. We understand. Is that something that excites you? Is there a particular way in which you wish to express that energy through yourself in life?
Yes, I see people's blockages and...
Right. And what can you do to help? If that excites you.
Put my hands there.
All right. Now you understand that what a healer does is what we described before. You simply give off an energy. You give off a frequency. That frequency is representative of their perfect harmonized state. If they then decide, I'll repeat that, if they then decide to match the frequency the healer is giving off, they will heal themselves. Healers don't heal directly. They suggest a frequency, and if the person accepts it, they bring themselves into alignment with that frequency, and they are healed. That's how a healer heals. If that excites you, by all means, do that. Does this help?
Yes, thank you.
Are you sure? Is that sufficient? Do you believe you can do this?
I have to say yes to it first, and that's what I'm struggling a bit with.
Why are you struggling?
I want to be normal.
You want to be...
Normal.
Are you saying normal?
Yes.
Why would you want to be normal? When it's so much more fun to be natural. Ooh. I'll let you ponder that, all right?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And are you good day?
Exciting to meet you.
And you as well. Remember, we wouldn't be doing this if we weren't passionate about it.
As you explained the meaning, the meaningless,
yes,
a question arises in me.
Oh, all right. What was that?
Lots of people, of humans, suffer
yes.
in feeling no meaning
yes.
in their life.
Yes. That's because they haven't given it any.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. When you recognize that life is meaningless, you can take it positively or negatively. If you don't understand that it's your ability, your gift to put the meaning in it, and you think the meaning is supposed to come from outside yourself, you will feel despair. But when you understand that it's yours to put meaning into, you will feel joy. It's that simple.
Yes, and there's a further question.
Yes.
Why is it necessary to give meaning if negative or positive if there is no meaning? Isn't it
because
a little bit?
It's necessary to do that for you to have an experience. The whole idea is that you're creating your experience. If you don't want to have an experience at all, don't give it any meaning. You will simply then neutralize yourself back into spirit. Your body will die if you are not interested in actually having a physical experience on earth. But in order to actually create a physical experience, you have to imbue the situation with meaning, because that's what generates the actual experiential effect, the manifestation. But if you don't want to do that anymore, you can go back into spirit. You don't have to do it.
Thank you.
That's just a description of the mechanism. That's all that is. That's why that has to occur.
Yes. And the further question.
That's like saying, if I want to drive my car, why do I need to step on the gas pedal? That's how your car works. That's how this works.
Is there any meaning on another level? If you're saying that the whole existence is meaningless?
The idea, when taken to the highest level, is that it is, in a sense, full of meaning. But that meaning on that level is so different than what humans mean by meaning as to be something completely almost unimaginable to you. The meaning on that level simply is its own self-supporting, self-perpetuating idea of experiencing existence, experiencing life, experiencing all that is to the fullest that can be experienced. On that level, it requires no other meaning other than to be what you are. Because remember, the concept of meaning exists within creation. Creation is not subject to the concept of meaning. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. Thank you very much.
Hello, Bashar.
And good day.
I was hoping you could clarify that what you said earlier about pain.
Yes.
When you said that, it had a ring of truth to it for me, but
all right.
It went by a little too quick for me to catch it.
The pain is resistance thing?
Yes. And I've been having chronic pain for the last few years.
In what way?
I had surgery on my back.
All right.
The pain has lingered from that.
Oh, I see.
And
all right.
There's been times when I've made it disappear.
Yes.
By like going into it and
yes.
focusing on it.
Yes.
But I'm not sure what the trick is to keep it away permanently.
Well, to answer the question in the way you asked it, and we will go further than this, but to answer the question in the way you asked it, the trick is to not assume you have to do anything to make it go away permanently. But that you are actually simply entering another state where such a thing no longer exists. You see, this is what we have euphemistically labeled the 13th step. The recognition that any change is a total change, not just a partial one. It is a definition that you have within your consciousness that says that that's just a temporary partial change that makes it, in that sense, regenerate itself. Because what you're doing is you're actually regenerating it in the new person that you become. But when you understand that every change is a total change, and whatever person you are at any given moment is literally a new person, and by whatever you define that person to be is the only experience that person will have, then if you know you're different enough, you will know that you are not the person that had the pain, that's another person. And that the person you are now not only has no pain, but never has. Ever. Thus you are a totally new person with a totally new reality, including a new past and a new future. Because you create the past from the present, not the other way around. So when you define yourself wholly and completely in any given moment in such a way as that definition no longer contains any element of the other person that was there a moment ago, that new person will never experience anything the other person is experiencing. Now, that aside, just letting your mind work with that, because it'll sink in. But letting your mind work with the idea that any change is a total change, completely and utterly a new person does it make out of you, literally. I don't care if you think you still look the same in the mirror. It's not the same person, literally. Aside from that, we talked about pain being resistance. And resistance can come in many forms. One of the strongest things that happens on your planet with regard to the idea of physiological pain is the resistance that is set up in the body due to the fact that your planet's water, air, and food is highly polluted. And that it's very difficult for many of you to get away from that no matter how natural and organic you eat. And so from time to time, it's very important for you to fully and cleanly detoxify all the organs of your body as best you can. Removing the toxins will usually allow your body then, when you put in the proper healthy, natural, organic nutrients, to repair itself of practically anything very rapidly. So one other thing we would suggest, aside from the very good practice of the hot and cold water treatments that are available to you in your present location, the idea is, aside from the very good nutritional food that is available to you in your location, that you would also partake of the idea of a very thorough and very deep detoxification program for the body, and then by putting the good things in, see if that makes a rapid difference in the ability of your body to heal that area. You follow me?
Yes.
Does this help you?
Yes, I think so.
All right. And allow your mind to play with that notion that every single moment, you are not the same you, literally. Not the same person. He's gone. Now it's you. Now he's gone. Now it's you. Now he's gone. Now it's you. And however it is, you, in any moment, define that you is what you will experience that you to be. So it's not that the pain is a carryover. It's that for some reason the new you has a belief system that says the pain must continue or be experienced in the new you. It's actually recreated over and over and over and over. It's not carried over, it's recreated over and over. You see the difference?
Yes.
So get in touch with the idea, just the idea itself, that at every moment, you literally, in every way that can possibly be meant, are literally a new person who has never experienced what the other person experienced. It just isn't who you are. Now, I know it may take some of you a little while to get a handle on that, but practice it. You will see a difference. And in the meantime, the detoxification will help you also in practicing any other permission slip you feel you need. All right?
Yes.
Does that help you?
That makes a lot of sense.
Why, thank you.
And I have just one more question.
Oh, all right.
It would be permissible for me, and I'm wondering if in the system where you come from, if it would be permissible for you to share with me next week's lottery numbers.
4, 5, 7, 13, 16, 23, 45. I'm not going to tell you which lottery, though.
Rats.
I've done my part, now you can do yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
Andrew, you good day.
I was wondering if you have some idea of what we, us here in this group, in terms of action, in terms of healing or helping with the damaging things that are happening to our planet. You mentioned water, air, and...
Well, do I have some idea? Of course, but don't you? What kind of actions would you like to take? Are you thinking?
I'm thinking. I was hoping the group would help me on that one.
Well, maybe they can.
Yeah.
All you have to do is get together with them at a time of your choosing and discuss. What can you do? What actions can you take? That will make a difference. That will act as an example to others of what they can do. That will show how you feel about your world. That will express the kind of reality you prefer without judging the one you don't.
Yes, I hear you on that.
All right.
Yes.
So all you have to do is take the action of talking to the group to talk to them about what actions to take.
Got you. Thank you.
Does that help?
Yes, it does.
Thank you.
And do you happen to know Paul Lowe, who's sitting in front of you?
We understand that.
You know Paul Lowe?
We have never physically met.
Oh.
But we recognize the frequency and the vibration.
We love him so much. He has spent so much of his life inspiring us to wake up.
Yes. And have you woken up?
Well, I was more curious.
Well, maybe Paul can work with you on that later.
I guess I was curious about, is he from your planet also? I mean, some inside information? Oh.
Remember, when you ask questions like, is this person from our planet? Many of you, including him, have connections to other worlds, our planet included, or again, we probably wouldn't be talking. Yes. But the idea is that when people on your planet ask that question, what planet are you from? Well, obviously, Earth. Because that's the you you're talking to.
Yes.
But that doesn't mean you don't simultaneously have connections to many other realities as well.
Right. I just wonder, because so many things you say are so in harmony with what Paul is sharing with us.
That's because truth is truth.
Yeah, it's just so beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Truth is also beauty.
Yes.
Yes.
My mind's a little bit blown by what you shared with the person for me, but I'd like to ask if the cancer in my liver is gone.
Not completely.
And what can I do to, well, you mentioned
yes, the
cleansing and
detoxification is important, but also whatever issues it may bring up for you. Because remember, sometimes when individuals may create certain things like that for themselves,
right,
it isn't always just about themselves, but the others with whom they interact and what effect it has on them too, especially family.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes.
When the issues in the entire idea, the entire relationship, the entire group are then dealt with, and then that thing may have served its purpose and no longer needs to manifest in that way. Make sense?
Yes.
What issues do you feel are prominent with your family? And with whom in particular?
My son, who's a drug addict.
I see.
And has been since he was a teenager.
So you're taking that personally, are you?
I guess I am, yes.
Taking it in the gut?
I suppose, yes.
Right.
I have suffered about it.
All right. First of all, release the idea of any blame, whatsoever. Understand that souls make agreements with each other to be with each other in life in certain ways. And even though some may get caught up in the density and lose their way, so to speak, ultimately they are an eternal spirit. Help where you can, but blame, and especially self-blame, helps no one. Release, let go of fault, and just feel the love and the support that you wish to give, and allow him to make his choices. Because no matter what happens in physical reality, as spirits, you will understand what you have done for each other after this life. You follow me?
I do.
Now, one moment. One moment. One moment. Are you taking advantage of the hot-cold process in your area?
I've been in the warm, not in the really hot. or the really cold, not in the extremes.
Do the extremes. Since you have manifested something most people would consider extreme, we would suggest that you unmanifest in an extreme way as well. Because it will also put you in touch with the emotional side of the issues that are causing that manifestation.
Wow.
When you push yourself that way, many emotions are brought to the surface and literally released like toxins. You follow me?
Yes.
Do that. And also you might assist yourself by putting a hot compress over the liver area of certain kinds of oils and herbs that will infuse through the skin, such as the oil of the castor bean.
Yes.
You follow me?
Yes.
This can be of great benefit. And whatever else you find your imagination will be drawn to that feels attractive to you, to put in the poultice. You may simply find yourself automatically and synchronistically attracted to a book that will give you exact formula.
Yes.
You follow me?
I do.
But you will feel when it is correct. Others, including your guides, will also send you loving energy. And the more you relax the issues of self-judgment with regard to the situation, the easier it will be for that energy to reach you. And the easier it will be for that energy to be used by you in a healing process for yourself as well. All right?
Yes, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this timing, we would suggest that you all enjoy a short, relaxing break. And we will resume this transmission shortly. Thank you.